American Horror Story NYC has introduced us to one of the most unsettling killers since Twisty the Clown. On this episode of American Horror Lore, we shall talk about the Mai Tai Killer, also known as Mr. Gideon Whiteley. Much is known of Mr. Gideon Whiteley, only that he served in the Vietnam War and was later discharged for being a homosexual. He then became a male nurse at St. Vincent's Catholic Center in New York City, and later found work in the New York Mafia as someone who disposes of bodies. In the summer of 1979, Mr. Whiteley was called to Fire Island to cut up the body of Billy, being blackmailed to do so by Mafia hitman Henry Grant. There, he developed a sadistic taste for cutting up young men. In 1981, Mr. Whiteley began a series of abductions and murders, cutting up the bodies of gay men to assemble the Frankenstein-esque Sentinel to act as a protector of gay men and a symbol of the suffering of gay men in society. In June, Mr. Whiteley drugged and abducted native journalist Gino Borelli, torturing him and then releasing him after he realized that he too was a veteran. Whiteley also began developing symptoms of a mysterious virus that has been plaguing the gay community, being treated by Dr. Hannah Wells. Whiteley killed a man at the Ditch Bar due to him not being perfect for his Sentinel. The Ascension Bar, Whiteley attempted to drug and abduct Theo Graves and Adam Carpenter, but the mysterious Big Daddy burned down the Ascension, injuring Whiteley with minor burns and smoke inhalation. Whiteley was also hospitalized, his blood being taken by Wells to find proof of his mysterious virus. Whiteley was pursued by Gino and Patrick, but got away after locking Gino in a freezer drawer. A maxed out power grid causes the city to fall into a blackout, causing Whiteley to taunt Patrick Reed, who was a detective in this case, and decapitate a young man in Central Park. He was followed to his apartment by Cameron Dietrich and Daniel Kanelowitz, where he abducted them. He later tore off their genitals and hearts to put into his Sentinel. Henry, who was working with Gino and Patrick to stop the murders, met up with Whiteley at Maltese Bar, where he was drugged and abducted by Whiteley and taken to his abandoned meat plant. Whiteley removed Henry's ear and put it on the Sentinel. He then captured Gino and Patrick. Whiteley attempted to remove Patrick's heart, but was stopped by Gino and Henry. Patrick was freed and he killed Whiteley, ending his reign of terror.
The Sentinel is our salvation. He will save us. He will show the world our suffering and will redeem us.
The only one who needs redemption is you, buddy.
But you don't get it.
Whiteley believed the Sentinel he was constructing would protect the gay community from homophobic hatred, but in reality it did more harm than good. Whiteley planned to bring the Sentinel to life upon completion, but with his death the Sentinel was dismembered and body parts turned over to the families. Whiteley seems to portray symptoms of PTSD, anxiety, OCD, psychopathy, and delusions of grandeur, all of which were caused by what he saw in Vietnam. He deluded himself into believing that he was doing this for the greater good. At the end of his life, he even says that he regrets it, but he still believed what he was doing was right. His method of murder would be to drug Mai Tai drinks at bars and abduct his victims to his abandoned meat plant. He would also leave body parts that were left over for the police to find to taunt them and to show society how ineffective the NYPD was. He earned the nickname Mai Tai Killer from his method of abduction. His belief that he could bring the Sentinel to life is proof his mental stability had completely fallen apart towards the end of his life. Whiteley seemed to be inspired by the last call killer Richard Rogers, a gay nurse who worked at New York's Mount Sinai Hospital. He would lure in and murder gay or bisexual men, but was only convicted of 2 killings on May 28, 2001. He is also based off of the bag murders done by Paul Bateson, who also worked on the Exorcist film in 1973. The Sentinel was inspired by the fictional Frankenstein's monster, who was assembled with the flesh of the dead by Dr. Victor Frankenstein in the 1818 novel Frankenstein by Mark Shelley.